cornerback position is one of the most important and valuable positions in the NFL. With the recent rapid influx of big, fast, and talented wide receivers into the league, and a league-wide transition to a pass-heavy offensive attack, there has never been a more important time for a team to have a superstar cornerback on their roster. Whether it is the lockdown corner who can completely erase a receiver every single game, or the ball-hawking pick specialist who can take every interception back for 6 points, every single team needs a standout corner, and the necessity is increasing quickly. Lucky enough, there are 2 cornerback prospects in this year's NFL Draft that may very well fit that need: Patrick Surtain Jr. from Alabama and Caleb Farley from Virginia Tech. Both corners are uber talented, highly productive, and fit the billing of a possible shutdown corner in the NFL. But the question still needs to be answered. Which one of them is better? Hello everybody, I'm Jack Smith from The Cold Hard Truth, where we bring you the cold hard truth on everything football. In this video, I'm going to go over my scouting reports for both Patrick Surtain Jr. and Caleb Farley, dissecting their strengths and weaknesses before pitting them against each other to see who the top cornerback prospect in the 2021 NFL Draft really is. If this interests you, please leave a like on the video and hit the subscribe button for more football content just like this video. Also, leave a comment letting me know down below who you think the better cornerback prospect is. But without further ado, let's get into both of their respective strengths. Patrick Surtain Jr. is a lockdown man corner who possesses the perfect combination of physicality and patience. He is able to dominate receivers at the line with his physicality and strength as a 6'2", 203-pound cornerback, but he is also patient and skilled in determining the right time to put his hands on the receiver on each route. This play against Arkansas in 2019 shows you exactly what I'm talking about on a physicality side from Surtain. You can see he's lined up one-on-one in man coverage at the top of the screen, right along the boundary, one-on-one against a receiver, and you'll see just how physical he is on this route. Surtain lines up and gets his hands immediately on the receiver, showing that he's not afraid to put his hands into the guy and be physical at the line of scrimmage, which for a man corner is exactly what you need to do, especially when you're playing in press. And Surtain shows a perfect example of that, showing he's not afraid to get his hands and get a little dirty on the route, which is something that you like to see from corners, especially in today's NFL. This play against LSU in 2019 is a perfect example of Surtain showing patience in a route. Terrace Marshall is about to run the quickest release with so many different steps that you have ever seen, but just watch Surtain at the bottom of your screen be patient and not bite on any of the different moves that Marshall does during his route. As you can see, Marshall takes about 20 steps during his initial release, but Surtain does not bite on a single one of them. He makes sure he stays disciplined, he stays patient until Marshall makes his first real move that shows him where he's actually going with his routes. Surtain watches his hips, which is exactly where you want to look if you're a cornerback, because that tells you where they're really going. Not their feet, not their eyes. Watch their hips, and once he sees his hips open up and he's starting to run to the outside, then Surtain makes his move and runs the route along with him, showing you his patience and showing you what he can do when lined up one-on-one on a receiver. He doesn't bite on all the crazy and funny and finesse stuff. He just goes after where they're really running, and that's a big strength of Surtain's. Because of these positive traits, Surtain excels early in routes, but his ability to stick to receivers throughout a route is perhaps his most impressive strength. Surtain has a knack for anticipating routes and cuts, and his nearly flawless man technique, including top-tier balance, fluid hips, and tremendous hand usage, allows him to rarely allow any separation to opposing wideouts. I mean, Surtain basically never gets burned in man coverage, and some of the worst reps you will see from him only have him allowing a simple yard or two of separation. Surtain is best deployed in man coverage, but he is definitely an above average in zone coverage too. He's instinctive and smart when playing in deep thirds, and he's also a great communicator, which you'll see in this play in 2019 versus LSU. LSU is lined up in trips to the left on this play, and Surtain understands that in this formation, the LSU is able to run a smash concept with Moss and Marshall, which is where Moss would run a hitch route and Marshall would run a corner to the outside towards the corner pylon, which is where Joe Burrow would love to look on this play. So Surtain's communicating to the player just inside of him that if Marshall cuts to the outside and cuts to a corner, he'll take over that route, and the other guy needs to cover Thaddeus Moss on whatever route he runs. And he's very right. That's exactly what LSU tries to do. And so the communication as well as his instincts allow Surtain to cover Marshall on this corner route and allow him to smother the route that they were trying to run and blow up the concept because he was smart, because obviously he did a little film watching, and he's able to tell out of what formations LSU can run and also what he needs to do on those formations. He's very good at passing off routes in zone coverage, so he's a very above average zone communicator as well as an instinctive zone player, which is another big strength of his. There are 2 more strengths of Surtain's game that are less important, but that I want to quickly break down. First off, Surtain is great when asked to match up with big receivers and even tight ends. He does not back down even when he is lined up one-on-one across from tight ends and massive receivers, and he's able to handle them very well, which will help him in the NFL as he can be a weapon that teams will be able to use to cover some of the best tight ends like Travis Kelce and Darren Waller, who are also big athletic threats. Along the same line, Surtain is not afraid to come up and tackle, which is not a requirement for corners in today's NFL, but it is definitely a plus. The combination of all these strengths is what led me to comp Surtain to all-pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey. Now, I'm in no way claiming that Surtain is going to be Jalen Ramsey. I'm just saying that they have very similar playstyles as tall, sticky man coverage corners who are able to turn it on and be incredibly physical when they need to. Even if Surtain doesn't, get to the levels of Ramsey, I believe they'll be the same caliber of player who have very similar playstyles. When it comes to Farley, there is one obvious strength that stands out above the rest: his insane athleticism. Even at 6'2", Farley has upper 4.3 speed and elite quickness. These physical traits allow Farley to be a top-tier accelerator early in plays and make plays on the ball later in plays with elite closing speed. This play against Miami in 2019 shows you a perfect example of Farley's acceleration, and he does it twice in the same play. He's running on a blitz, or maybe it's a fake blitz, but he accelerates towards the quarterback. You can see the acceleration there, but then he picks up the running back going out on a route, and he has to stop dead in his tracks and accelerate the other way, and he's able to keep up with the running back, showing you his insane acceleration, which is top-tier, elite-level athleticism, 2 times on one play. The closing speed I talked about is most apparent for me in this play against Wake Forest from 2019, which shows you exactly how much he can break down on routes and close on them just at the last second. The receiver that's lined up on him, he's at the bottom of the screen, is going to run a slant, and just look at how fast Farley is able to close on it, because he does allow some early separation, but after the ball is thrown, Farley is able to close on it, get in front of it, and swat the pass away. Farley is obviously super athletic, but he's also solid in all forms of coverage, just slightly more of a zone man balance than Surtain is. Farley is above average in press, but can also play well in deep thirds in zone coverage. He's instinctive at reading route combos and tremendous at recognizing double moves, and I think that this success in zone could make Farley a great safety if his team that drafts him wanted to play him there, but that's a topic for another time. Farley is at his best when he's breaking down on routes, cracking down on them, coming back to the football, as you can see in this play versus Wake Forest, where he does allow a little bit of space on a comeback route, but he breaks on it at the last second. He's able to get a hand on it. The quarterback, it was a good throw, but Farley's athleticism and ability in coverage allow him to come back to the ball and knock it away for an incompletion. The final strength I want to touch on is Farley's excellent ball skills. He has an uncanny ability to get his hands on the football and either knock away the pass or pick it off completely. When I watched his full game against Miami in 2019, there were 3 great examples of exactly what I'm talking about with his ball skills, and you'll see right here. In this first play, Miami made the mistake of testing Farley down the field. He's running completely one-on-one with the wide receiver down at the bottom of the screen, and in the end zone, they're trying to get a touchdown on him, but Farley says absolutely not. He wasn't having any of it, picks it off with one hand, falling down in the corner of the end zone. Just an absolute tremendous display of ball skills from a cornerback. You can't ask for very much more. And so he gets the interception, puts his team in a great position now, getting the ball back. That's what a valuable ball skills corner can do for you, and Farley is definitely skilled in that area. They tried testing him again in the end zone, and guess what he said? No way, that's my football. Runs the route, exactly what the wide receiver was going to do, and he picks it off again in the end zone. Rough day for the Miami quarterback, but a great day for Farley, and that's what we like to see. He's able to get in front of the route and keep his hands on it, which in the NFL is becoming more and more valuable because the offenses are becoming so explosive. Any chance that you have to get the ball back, you need to capitalize on, and Farley will definitely do that as a member of any NFL team that he's on. Great ball skills, but there is still another example in this game. Not an interception, but instead a pass breakup. Happens later in the game and is a great example of him timing his jumps. As you can see right here, he's able to get the hand on the ball and knock it away. And it just shows you 3 times in this game, he showed you his insane ball skills. And that's what you like to see in a corner. And it's a big plus, especially when you can get it in today's NFL. All of these combined strengths caused me to comp Farley to NFL veteran Jimmy Smith. Smith played at the University of Colorado and then endured a long career in the NFL, but he's well known for his athletic traits and top-tier ball skills, especially down the field on long routes. Smith's career was highlighted by crazy pass breakups and interception, which is a staple of Farley's game too, which led me to make this comparison. And I want to put a quick disclaimer out there. I know that I comped Surtain to Jalen Ramsey, and I know that I comped Farley to Jimmy Smith, and there's a little bit of discrepancy in the level of players there, but that's not what I'm noting. I'm just noting the play style when I do those comps. So those mean nothing for what I think they're going to be. It's just a little bit of a player comp based on their play style. I just wanted to get that out there so you don't get upset in the comment section at me. The comps don't mean anything for what I think they're going to be. It's just their play style and who they're similar to. As you can see, both these corners are fantastic, but no player is without their weaknesses. So let's get into what I saw on film, some weaknesses for both of these prospects. While Farley may be very athletically gifted, Patrick Surtain Jr. is a little bit more pedestrian in that area. He is by no means slow, but he might run into some problems if asked to match up with some of the fastest players in the league like Tyreek Hill. Surtain has enough athletic ability to mirror receivers at the beginning and in the middle of routes, but receivers can pull away from him at the end of long developing routes down the field. I don't think this will be a huge issue in the NFL for Surtain, but it is definitely a notable weakness that could cause issues late in routes against speedy receivers. Moving over to Caleb Farley, there are two things that people can cite as weaknesses, but I do not believe they are grave issues. First off, Farley isn't perfect technically like Surtain is. His footwork is definitely not as clean, and he can improve on his hip fluidity. But like I mentioned before, his athleticism gives him a safety blanket and often saves him from these issues and will give him time to improve technically. I want to ensure that it is known that Farley is still good technically. I just still think he has room to improve, and I wanted to note that's an area where he is behind Surtain in this little battle we're doing. Also, it is impossible to talk about Farley and not mention the fact that he opted out of the 2020 college football season. Yes, this means we only have one good season on tape from Farley, but you can't knock him as a person for opting out. A couple years ago, he lost his mother to illness, and he said he simply cannot afford to lose another loved one, which definitely needs to be respected. You can be skeptical of the small sample size, but you can't question the kid's motivation and drive because there was a reason for him opting out. So while people may see this as a weakness and a negative, you've got to respect the reason behind it. Quick reminder before we get into my pick for who I think the top cornerback in this draft class is between Surtain and Farley. Just a quick reminder to go down, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment with all the things that I've talked about and things you know on your own. Who do you think the better cornerback is? Is it Surtain or is it Farley? I want to know down in the comment section. I'll respond to every comment down there. But without further ado, let's get into who I think the best cornerback prospect is in the 2021 NFL Draft. And it's Patrick Surtain Jr. Just like my Devonta Smith versus Jamar Chase video that I made earlier, this was a very tough decision to make, but I ended up going with Surtain simply because I think he's a little bit of the safer prospect because we have a larger sample size of elite play, and also I think he matches more of the mold of what the NFL is going for in cornerbacks. I think he's more of a lockdown man corner, which is what I would want if I were an NFL GM, and that's definitely what defensive coordinators want today in the NFL. And I believe that while yes, he does lack a little bit athletically, especially when compared to Farley, I do believe that his technicality is a little bit safer and it's a little bit more of what I think the NFL wants and a little bit more of what I would be looking for in a cornerback. Personally, those reasons just cause me to believe that Surtain is better overall, but Farley is definitely great, and I know a lot of people will have him as their number one corner, and I can't fault them for that. And really, I would hear them out because it was very close for me. And honestly, there are some teams in the NFL that play a lot more zone coverage that I think Farley should be number one on their list. And if he's number one on your list, I cannot fault you for that because I loved both of them as prospects. They would both be in my top, I don't know, maybe even 10 in my big board if I ever do that. But I think both of them are great. Surtain just slightly got the edge for me. But like I said before, let me know down in the comment section who you think the better cornerback prospect is. Also, don't forget to leave a like on the video and subscribe for more NFL and college football content just like this video. I had a blast making this one, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.